Hey guys, and welcome to a Saradomin God Wars guide. So in this video I'm going to go pretty in depth on how to kill it with your gear setups, your inventory setups, your ability bar setups, everything like that, and it should really help you guys kill Saradomin God Wars if you cannot seem to do it. So let's go straight into it, and here we go. So first things first, you got to know what you're going up against. So the boss is called Ziliana, Commander Ziliana, and you know, combat levels, life points, all that menial stuff that if you just wanted to know, it's right there. It has no weakness, and then the total experience that you get per kill is about 6,000. That does not include the experience from the three little generals that are with her. So I think total, like with the generals, experience for combat is about 7,500, and that includes the main combat skill and HP. And then as for the charms, you get 1 per kill, and it's about that rate. The charms do not really add up. They're kind of bad, but if you really wanted to know, they're right there. And then for the money per hour, it's very variable. You don't know what you're gonna get, so I just put a big window of what you could expect, 1 to 3 mil an hour. Some hours you can probably make like 800k, and then you have to minus some supplies, and then other hours you might get a hilt, and that's like 14 mil. So you really don't know what you're gonna get. Just expect that you're gonna make about 1 mil an hour without any real drops or anything. And then as for experience per hour, it's about 400k with like tier 80s and like 85 to 90 stats. So it's like 400k like combined experience per hour. That's like strength and HP, or mage with HP. But if you do have tier 90s, you can expect maybe 500k an hour or even higher. So it is pretty good experience. It's one of the best experience rates for any of the God Wars bosses. Moving on to the recommended stats and quests. First of all, I recommend having 95 prayer, just so you can use, you know, turmoil or torment, those, you know, high level prayers from the curses. You can also use soul split with that level as well, but you don't necessarily need 95. You could do it with 92 and just use soul split, but then you're sacrificing a lot of DPS because you don't have those higher boosting prayers. And then for Herblore, I recommend having about 88 or higher, so you can use extremes. It would be beneficial to have overloads as well. Even better, it would be good if you had the supreme overloads. They really help as well. It's slightly more DPS than the regular overloads. If you don't have extremes, you can just use supersets or even grand potions. It's really up to you. And then for summoning, I would recommend having at least a tortoise, so that's 67 summoning. If you don't have a yak, but you do have 88, I would recommend using a unicorn. If you have 96, I would use a yak, and if you have 99, I would still probably use a yak, but if you really want to do like speed kills with short trips, I would maybe use a steel titan. It's really not needed. I would just use a yak for longer trips. And then for the combat, I just said a blanket, you know, thing of high combat, but I would recommend maybe 80 plus combat stats, maybe 85, so you get pretty decent kills per hour. And then for the quest, I recommend having Edgar's Ruse and then the Mighty Fall quest. So the Edgar's Ruse quest gives you the Trollheim teleport, so you can teleport really close to God Wars, and then the Mighty Fall quest allows you to use the God Wars tab, which is like really good. It brings you right there. So at least have one of those, if not both. Moving into the gear setups, here's the melee setup. I will be going over melee and magic for this guide. And first of all, for the melee, the best set you could do is the Malevolent, and then having, I would probably say just Bando's gloves, because you don't really need Torva. The repair costs on the Torva boots and the gloves do not really outweigh what you're getting in an increase in DPS. So I just recommend having Bandos or, you know, Pneumatic and Steadfast. You can do whatever in that category, but for your amulet, I would say maybe use a blood necklace. I didn't write it down, but a blood necklace is very good here. You can also use an amulet of souls. You can use it for either setups, the melee or the mage. But if you don't have anything of that sort, I would just use like a Whisper, a Fury, or maybe even a Dragon Rider, because it does give you a lot of prayer bonus. For the ring, I recommend having like an Asylum ring or a Ring of Vigor. And if you don't have those things, I would use a Warrior's Ring Imbued, a Circuit, or a Tokelzo. As for the capes, just use the ones I showed, and obviously use a max cape or a comp cape if you have it. As for ours, they all are good over there, but I would use them in that order. And then weapons, obviously, just use Drygors. If you don't have Drygors, use Chaotix, and if you don't have that, I would probably just recommend using an SGS. On to the magic setup, it's pretty much the same as melee. Don't really have to go that much into detail. I would recommend using Tectonic, of course, because it has very good DPS, just like Malevolent, and very good tank, and you do make a lot more money with it, so do use it. Even though it is, you know, expensive and it goes to dust, I would just recommend it. It's very good here. And then you can also use Sea Singers, and I forgot on the melee setup you can use Tetsu. I wouldn't really recommend it, only if you want long trips. Same here. If you want to use, superior sea singers, I would recommend it if you want long trips. And then of course you can downgrade to Virtus and then to Subjugation. I wouldn't really go any lower than Subjugation. Then your defense is just going to be bad. And then of course for the gloves, it's the same thing as the melee. Just use whatever on the neck and ring, just like the melee. Cape is use the Kiln, God Cape, or Skill Cape. Of course, use Comp and Max if you have it. And use your best tier weapon. And of course, the aura is the same. Now for the inventory setups, we're almost done with all of your pre-stuff. So for the inventory, for melee, it's a little different from magic. You only really have to change the runes, that's about it, and your ability bar. But I would just recommend using overloads, your extremes, your grand potions, supreme overloads, even holy overloads work really well here. Just use whatever pot you have that is your highest, and then I would bring a few prayer potions or super restores, and then obviously some food. You can use up to Rocktail. I wouldn't use anything higher than that. I would use probably the lowest would be Shark or Tuna Potatoes. And then of course bring your Yak Scrolls if you have them. Adrenaline Pots really do help here as well. And then use an emergency teleport if you are scared of dying. So you could use like your cape, you could use a ring, you could bring like a teletab, just do whatever if you are wary about dying. And then wear a Sign of Life or have a Porter of Life just in case if you don't want to die or something. And then for the ability bar, you can just copy what I have. It's one of the best ability bars you can do. There is some minor tweaks you can do with this and just experiment with this, but you should always start your ability bars with melee on Decimate. It's just the best DPS for that. As for the magic inventory, it's about the same. There's really no changes. Just bring your runes, don't forget that. And then also, you can copy in my ability bar as well. It's not the best bar, but it works really well. You can tweak it as much as you want. So I know that took forever to get through, but now you should be set to do some Saradomin God Wars. Now let's go and kill it, and I'll show you guys how to, kill it effectively. I'm going to show you guys with the melee setup, just because I prefer the melee setup, and I feel like it's the best kills per hour, but they're pretty much the same. I'll see you guys there. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to kill Saradomin. So first you have to get to the boulder, to get to the God Wars, and you can teleport here just with the, God Wars teleport if you have Mighty Fall quest done, or you can teleport here from Trollheim and run down. If you don't have either of those things, you have to run up from Death Plateau, and I don't really want to show you guys that because you really shouldn't be doing God Wars if you don't have those teleports. It really slows your kills per hour because of the excessive banking time. And basically you go down the rope, and then you go southeast, which is where the Saradomin encampment is. And yeah, I forgot to mention you do need 70 agility to attempt Saradomin, because to get down this wall you need 70 agility, of course. So now you're in the encampment and you need 40 kill count like all the other God Wars, and I recommend just killing the mages probably. Even if you're meleeing, the mages die really quickly. As you can see, like, I'm just killing it really quickly right now. And they have decent drops as well, so if you want to bank them before every trip, then that's fine. You don't really have to. But I mean, they are like 2 mil an hour, 2.5 mil an hour, just these mages, so you can make a little bit of extra money. I will be right back when I get the 40 kill count. So I also forgot to mention that you do need some sort of God Wars item to protect you from Saradomin. So I'd recommend using the Shard of Zeros if you have the Fate of the Gods quest done. And if you don't, you can also use Ascension crossbows if you do have those. They also act as like an item that protects from everyone, but you're probably not going to be using Ascension here because range isn't that great. So your best bet is just to bring like a Samarak or arrow or a Saradomin arrow, whatever you choose. Once you have the 40 kill count, enter the chamber or whatever for this Saradomin, and I would recommend making an instance just because you'll probably make the money back in the 1 hour, and you don't have to worry about crashers, and you get the fast spawns. I believe you soul split. I mean, it really doesn't matter. I will be praying mage when I do devotion, and if you don't know what that does, it gives you 100% protection prayers for about 10 seconds, and you can get that from a Bandos or a Armadillo boss drop or whatever if you didn't get it from the event. So let me pot up. Let's get this all ready. I'm gonna get my my aura ready, and let's go in. I'll show you how to kill it effectively. So the boss, just focus on that, and let your revolution do your basics unless you really want to pay attention and do it yourself. But I would use devotion as much as possible. It does really save you food, and then you can stay longer that way. But just keep on doing as many thresholds as possible, and if you feel comfortable and you just want to drop it, then you can use Zerk as well. Zerk really does speed up the kills, but obviously you get damaged a lot more too. But because you're wearing Malevolent like I am, if you are wearing Malevolent, you shouldn't be taking all that much damage. Like, I should have actually taken less damage than I just did, I'm trying to Zerk kill, so I will be hit a lot more, but I will be hitting her a lot more. So that's when you Adren pot, because then you can get your adrenaline up and get your thresholds out, because that's where you hit all the damage. Look at that, 6k, 7k, 4k, all this stuff. Use all your thresholds, and then you get quick kills, and it'll actually save you food if you use Zerk sometimes, because you can kill it really quickly, like that 27-second kill. Obviously you can kill it faster. Again, just try to maximize your defense. Use devotion as much as possible. Pick up the food drops when you get them, because they will make you last longer. And just focus on killing it for, you know, several hours. I mean, you probably won't be making all that much money here, but I can tell you right now that it's probably the best combat experience at God Wars in general. So if you do need, you know, a lot of combat experience, this is the way to go. And there you go. I did my devotion, and I have my prey mage, so it shouldn't be hitting me all that much, because a lot of my damage is from the mage attacks as opposed to the melee, because I'm wearing the really strong tank gear. And then once the devotion's out, which it just did, go back to soul split so you can get some HP back. Either way, I mean, it's a pretty easy boss, pretty straightforward, and if you are struggling with it, just try to max out your defense with your devotion if you have it. Your you know, debilitate. Practice makes perfect. Oh, look at that, I actually got a hiss in this trip while showing you guys, but that's only like 250k. Oh, and before you go, there's another way to maximize your DPS here, and that is using the slaughter ability. So it's on my W key. Let me do it right now. It's a threshold, so I did it right there, and what you do is you move the monster. So what happens is it triples the bleed damage. So my bleed right there was like about 800 something. So that slaughter alone did almost like 10k damage. So slaughter is very good for, you know, DPS that isn't like a destroy or an assault. So I recommend doing a slaughter every single kill. You can actually start your kills with the slaughter and then move it right away, and that way you have a pretty good DPS going on because of the bleed right away. And I actually just got 2 hisses in a row. What is going on, guys? What the heck? I got back-to-back hisses basically. That is pretty crazy. I guess that's going in the series. But yeah, that's all for me today. That's pretty funny. I got 2 hisses, and I hope this video helped you, and I hope it will help you, you know, get through the Saradomin if you're not doing good with it. It is actually a fairly easy boss, but considering I am using, you know, Malevolent max gear, I might be a little biased, but either way, this should help you with the gear setups and everything like that, and maybe maximizing your DPS and such. I should have more God Wars guides and other, you know, higher level bosses, you know, guides in this format soon, or, you know, later on. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.